Hi, I'm Sarah Kennedy and welcome to Sewing an Early Tudor Gown. I made this course because I was able to find a lot of information on the early period, very simple T-tunic style gowns, and I'm able to find a lot of information on the later Renaissance period, very complex gowns, but I couldn't find anything on this transitional period, where the gowns are still very simple, but they've got that classic iconic square neckline and long flowy sleeves. I assume that my audience for this course is going to be reenactors of any age who are interested in sewing, either to have this as a quick project or because they're new to sewing and they're looking for a simple project. Technology experience. I'd say a lot of people are fairly comfortable with online classes the last few years. Due to the plague, we have been doing almost all of our courses and university sessions online. I assume that my learners are primarily going to be working on this at home as a hobby or as part of a university event or a local medieval arts and sciences event. The terminal objective for this course, of course, is to build a simple early Tudor gown in the 1500 to 1525 English style, as pictured here. In the first module, the learner will describe at least 3 characteristics of gowns from this period, and the learner will choose the materials for their project based on historical accuracy, budget, local climate, and personal preference. In Module 2, we're going to learn how to actually take all of our needed measurements, and we're going to learn how to then draft a custom dress pattern. In Module 3, the learner will sew a 1500 to 1520s style dress, either by hand or machine. So let's take a look at the actual course modules and how everything is arranged. So for Module 1, we start off with a project overview. We then go into an overview of women's clothing. Here we have a mixture of reading as well as some articles, and we have a discussion on the properties of Tudor dress. Next, we move on to choosing materials. I have a video on choosing your thread types that goes over the properties of all the different types of thread, as well as some readings on the types of fabric that were available in the period, as well as modern equivalents. We then have a materials discussion and a knowledge check for Unit 1. In Unit 2, we have an intro video about what's all in this module. We have a Captivate course, interactive, on how to take all of your dress measurements with lots of videos, as well as some drag and drop interactions. And then we have our measurement worksheet, where they can actually record their measurements. I am not asking them to tell me their measurements. I feel that's a little personal, but we are ending with a knowledge check to make sure they really did understand what measurements they were supposed to be taking. Next, we go into a bunch of instructions on how to draft each of your pattern pieces, followed by our pattern drafting assignment and pattern drafting discussion. Module 3 is going to be our gown construction instructions, gown construction video, gown construction discussion, and our final assignment, submitting photos and a discussion of your final dress construction and how that went, followed up by a final course survey. As far as the quality matters checklist, I really didn't find one that perfectly aligned with what I'm doing. I went with a higher education rubric. I scored a 69 out of 100 on this. My biggest things is I need to do some more work on my syllabus, and then this whole section in here on your institution's IT policy and student support services really was not applicable.